Okay.
No one in there yet. Oh, they're coming
No one
in.
in yet. Oh, 3, 4. Okay. Can see a few people coming in. Put a gallery view so I can see everyone. Oh, that's one.
So I have promoted everyone as panelists as they come in.
Okay, no worries. I can only see one person so far.
Chem is not accepting to be panelist, so.
Okay.
And that's it.
Oh.
But you can upgrade them as panelists as they come in. Anyway, start your show. Enjoy.
Okay. I can only see one person so far. So is there anyone else here? Can we unmute people? Hi, Tahir. How are you? Hello? Oh gosh, I'm having some problems.
Oh, I think there might be some technical issues there. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. I can hear you now. Yep, I can hear you.
Good.
How are you?
Good morning. Thanks.
Where are you coming from?
Randwick.
Oh, Randwick. Oh, okay. Did you hear via the Randwick Community Organic?
I heard from Chen, so she should be on this meeting as well.
Yeah, Chem just. Hi, Annette.
You there?
She tried to get in, and we tried to make her a presenter, and she rejected it. So that's why we can't see her at the moment.
Which is part of the meeting.
Here she comes. Here she comes.
Oh yeah.
So we're just having some technical issues. Hey Annette, how are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
Good. I haven't seen you for like ever.
Okay.
It's been a long, long time. How have you been?
Good, good. I've got an empty veggie pod.
Well, time to get started. We've still got people coming in, so we're going to wait a few more minutes. Chem, how are you? Oh, ask to unmute. I will ask her to unmute. Hi, Ewa. How are you?
Sorry, we're not very techy, so we had a bit of a problem getting on.
No,
it took me about 5 or 10 minutes just to get on.
This is typical of most of our days now, is having these discussions about having issues, technical issues. Yeah, unfortunately, it's just one of those things with these days, lockdown days. Chem, are you there? Can you hear us? No. Okay. All right. Oh, there's a few more people coming in now. Oh, I can hear you, but we can't hear you for some reason, Chem.
Q button to activate. Leave plus Q button to activate. More music. Raise hand button. Share screen. Open chat. Question and answer. More options. Open. Close. Open. Video settings. Start mic. Plus D button.
Wow.
Activate.
Maria, I don't know what's going on with your computer, but that's freaky.
Sorry, everyone, it's my screen reader. Let me start my video just a moment.
Oh, that's better. That was a little bit disturbing. Hello, that's better.
This is how I do my day. So.
Oh, okay. It's very strange.
Can you get me my, go to my bedroom and get me my,
You were? Ria, where are you coming from?
I'm based in the Blue Mountains.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think you're our furthest person yet. So how did you hear about this?
Through sorry. My computer talks to me all day. Yeah, through one of the plant groups that I belong to. So they were saying like you're doing a webinar on seed propagation and seed raising.
Yeah.
And doing good causes in the meantime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh, well, I think you're coming from the furthest away from us. Most of us are Sydney based and cloaked in a bit of smoke at the moment. So hopefully you haven't got too much smoke where you are.
Not at this present minute, but given where I am, it's really close to national parks. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're doing some backburning soon.
Yeah, it's been really bad in Sydney for the last couple of days. So yeah, anyway, I think, Lau, we still have a few people that we're waiting for, but I'm going to put you on mute there. Yeah, okay. So let me just double check. I think we're still waiting on a few people, but I don't want to wait too long because I only want to go for an hour if possible. We're also recording. So if anyone doesn't want to be on this recording, turn your camera off. And at any stage, if you have any issues, you want to ask any questions, just raise your hand or you can type in the Q&A box. But it's probably better if you just type in the Q&A box because that way I'll be able to see you. I can't exactly see everybody at the moment because we've just got too many people in the room. So anyway, thanks everyone for coming today, and I'm just going to make sure you're all muted. Yes, you are. Yeah, thank you for coming today. This is actually a fundraiser for the Bangladeshi Association for Sustainable Development, and they are working in Bangladesh to help raise people out of poverty. And I got involved with them through my author, Rosemary Morrow, who I'm working with on her next book called The Earth User's Guide to Permaculture, which will be in its 3rd edition. I'm an editor by day, but a permaculturist by all other times of the day. So I have my permaculture design certificate. I have a diploma and a Cert 4 in permaculture. And it's pretty much everything I love to do is everything permaculture and seed raising and growing, propagating from cuttings and growing from seeds. It's what I love to do. So yeah, that's what I do in my spare time. And I am also with Randwick Community Organic Garden. Oh, we have someone else. Hello. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Hello. Hi, Chem. You finally got on. That's so good.
Sorry about that. I hope you weren't. I hope I didn't hold it up.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Did you want to just briefly say hi?
Hello everyone. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. I was just actually down at the garden and I've just rushed back. And made a piece of toast.
You're in the local area too, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, so most of us are locals. Annette, where are you based at the moment?
I'm in Belmore.
In Belmore. Okay. Oh well. So yeah, most of us are fairly local. So the reason I ask is because it's really important when you're doing any seed raising or anything propagation along these lines to get to know your local networks, because we are the strongest part of this link. It's not about running to Bunnings and buying things. It's actually about getting to know your local networks, seeing who's really passionate and into it, and seeing what you can share, what you can use from what you have at this moment. So I really want to encourage you to think about and look around in your local networks and get to know them. So yeah, there are a few people in this group who are quite local, and be good to get to know each other. And that is actually very big on circular economies, and where I learned all about circular economies. So Annette would know all the sharing networks. And Annette, again, do you have a page or something where people can go and learn more about circular economies in the local sphere?
Well, there was the sharing map. but it's a bit not looked after at the moment. So.
Oh, okay. Hasn't been updated.
No, I think honestly, like so many things on Facebook these days.
Yeah.
The local networks, the pay it forwards, all those groups, very active. So I think once you get tapped into one of those, you just keep finding them.
Yeah, there's a buy, sell nothing, pay it forward. There's
Yeah.
yeah, there's so many groups. So yeah, I just encourage you to get involved in your local networks, get to know each other. It's a great place to start. So anyway, I'm going to make sure you're all muted now, and then I'm going to start. So hopefully I can share my screen and go to my desktop and Keynote. There we are. Okay, then it wants me to open system preferences and allow that to happen. Sorry, having some issues sharing. Sorry, it's part and parcel, isn't it? Accessibility.
Wouldn't be a webinar if we didn't have tech issues.
Exactly.
Is that a turtle dove I hear in the background?
Yeah, probably. I'm just in my backyard. Yeah, so there we go. Now, can I share screen, please? Desktop share. Come on. Oh, it's just not happening. Sorry. Okay. We're not going to bother sharing my screen because you have
the green button. Yes, can't you see it?
Sorry.
The share screen button is down the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I know. It's
Green
telling
button.
me I can't access it unless I change my preferences.
Oh,
I always share my screen on Zoom, so I don't know why it's decided that it doesn't want to do it anymore.
Feeling shy.
hang on. Try again.
Oh, okay. All right. Is it a setting thing? Desktop share. Open system preferences. Doesn't want to do it.
No?
Screen recording, screen sharing. Where's screen sharing?
It says all panelists can share. Try again.
Files and folders. Sorry, guys. Media. Okay. Just want to do it. General sharing. Privacy. Sorry, I just cannot quickly figure out how to do that. So it's in my preferences that it's an issue. Doesn't really matter. Okay, so why
just
do you
hold
want-
up a piece of paper and things like that if it's a
Yeah.
diagram.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't actually have that many things to share because I just don't believe in it because it takes away the emotional and the connection between people. So it's fine. I had a few photos to show you, but it doesn't really matter. So the question is, why DIY? So I think actually, you know, it's very easy to go to Bunnings and actually go and buy propagation mix or seed raising mix, but really, if you make your own mix, it's vastly superior to bought mixes. You get improved water holding capacity, you get improved drainage, and you get quality ingredients, and you can actually control the quality of those ingredients. So you can actually decide everything that goes into your seed raising mix, and it's also much cheaper when you do it yourself. You can also adjust to your plant's needs. So for example, if you have plants that have a lot of, they need a lot of water holding, then you can change your raising mix to something that has perhaps a lot more vermiculite, for example, that holds a lot more water. If you want to do something that is a lot drier, you might actually want to use something like perlite. So for example, if you want to raise things like, I know Yiwa likes to raise succulents, you might want something that's a drier mix, because if you're going to give a lot of water holding capacity to something like a succulent, you may end up causing rot, and they just do not like to be waterlogged, as you probably know. So you can adjust your mix to your purposes, which is a lovely way to do things and to be observant of what's in your environment. As a permaculturist, our first rule and principle is observation. So observation is really key to making your seed raising mix. You don't just make one for all purposes. You make them for the purpose that you want. I did have a wonderful photo to share with you, and it's actually I've been trialing different types of seed raising mix for ages and failing for a lot of the time. I have to be honest, because you have to try and fail a lot of times. But I found one, and this is the one I'm going to show to you today, which is the absolute best one that I have found. And what I did was I did experiments with different ones, and I actually had photos of the experiments to show you. And it's I grew corn last year, and I grew corn in a regular mix, so just a store-bought, whatever. And you'll see the root. It's just this long single root, and it's looking for moisture. You can see it's mining itself way down. And then I did one in this particular mix I'm going to show you today, and it is amazing. The roots are just incredible. They just spanned out. There's hundreds and hundreds of them, and the difference was massive. So there was absolutely no comparison. So this one that I'm going to show you today is actually just far superior to anything else I've used. It's actually called it's actually originates from Olsen Farm, which is famous for growing garlic. So if you want to buy fresh garlic, organic garlic from New South Wales, there's a place called Olsen Farm, and you can buy it in bulk. And I think they also sell seed garlic if you want that as well. They also sell some incredible, very unique tools, and one of those tools I'm going to be showing to you today for seed raising. So that's Olsen Farm, and this mix has been adapted by Milkwood Permaculture. So I'm guessing most of you have heard of Milkwood Permaculture. They have been doing lots and lots of courses in Sydney. They were based in Mudgee for a while, and now they've moved down to Tassie. Milkwood's page is fantastic if you need any seed raising resources, growing resources, fermentation, just pretty much anything permaculture. Go to the Milkwood site. So going back, the ingredients of this mix are, and I have them here to show you, the ingredients are, so you want some coarse sand. Now, the emphasis here is on coarse. You do not want beach sand. Beach sand is pretty much the worst thing you could use because of salt content. Coarse sand is really good because it gives you fantastic drainage. Okay, so you'll find this, and I'll show you fine sand. You can see the difference. There's actually, I'm hoping you can see it pretty well. The coarse sand, you can see the grains, whereas the fine sand is just really tiny. So that doesn't really work so well. The coarse sand does. The other ingredient here is coir. Now, what used to be used here, this is coconut coir. What used to be used was peat, and peat is not very sustainable. Coir is actually a artifact of the coconut industry. You buy it in these lovely blocks of mega coir garden soil. Now they look like this when you buy them. It's a lovely, great big block, and this is just coconut fiber, and it's packed. And a block like this can make 90 litres. So it's actually extremely efficient. You just cut a small amount off to make your seed raising mix, and this will last and last and last forever. You can buy them much, much smaller. You can buy it in the size of a brick, and it's about $2 in the shops. Now, these are made in Sri Lanka and India, so a bit of miles going on there. They do travel, but unfortunately, but they can be reused. And what you do with that block is you cut it to whatever size you need, or if you buy the brick sized one, you just use that and you soak it in water, and then it expands. That's why a block like that one that I just showed you can make up to 90 litres. When you add water, it expands hugely. So this can actually be used for many, many things, not just seed raising mix. It can be used as an amendment in your garden to help water retention. So it's actually, I wet this down yesterday, and it's just holding the water beautifully. And this is one of the reasons the roots grow so nicely. It's because they actually come into this block, and they actually, they're getting the moisture that they need. The other beautiful thing about these is that they are free of bacteria and fungal spores. So I believe that peat, there was an issue with peat like that, and peat is really not sustainable. They've got the pH of 5.5 to 6.5, which is really good. That's what your veggies want. So this is actually very, very nice, very in between. You don't want it too acidic. You don't want it too alkaline. So coir is fantastic. It's kind of in between. The other thing you want is some compost. So now you can just have your regular compost from the garden. Now, I don't know if all of you do compost at home or not. I don't know. You can buy compost from the shops. Now, if you do buy compost from the shops, just know, just buy your bog standard. Don't buy the premium stuff that's got water crystals and nutrient and blah, 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 blah. It's really important because your seeds, when you raise your seeds, they actually have everything they need in their little packet. The seed itself actually contains all the nutrients it needs to get up to its first leaves. So you don't want to be adding anything with too many nutrients in it in your seed raising mix. Just let the seed do what the seed's going to do. So really a standard compost, if you're going to buy something from Bunnings, then that's fine. Just get a standard one. Don't get anything with added nutrients, water crystals, any of the fancy stuff. That's fine. Just standard is fine. If you make your own, fantastic, even better. The other thing that you're going to need is, okay, don't have it here. Is vermicompost. Now, this is castings from your worm farm. Now, I can see Yua's face. She's going, I don't have a worm farm. I have a solution for you. Okay. This is my little solution for you if you do not have a worm farm. This is a standard pot. This is a standard unglazed pot. No glazing on the inside, no glazing on the outside. and just the foot of the pot, the plate of the pot on the top. Okay, so you can, and there's just a little hole in the bottom there. Now you can adapt this into any pot, even if you have only a balcony with plants on the balcony. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how small your space is. You can adapt this and make it into a worm farm. And actually, you don't have to adapt anything. All you have to do is add worms and food. So this can actually be, you can put some coir in the bottom as bedding for them. So the coconut coir, we're going back to the coconut coir again. You can use that as bedding for them, or you can use your paper. So I've been using, my friend here, Yuwa, has been giving me her shredded paper, which is absolutely fantastic, and the worms love it. They love to live in it. So make a nice little bed for them down the bottom, and then we put scraps in. So you're putting your scraps in, no onions, no citrus, just your veggie scraps. And then you cover it up. And to ensure that you don't get any rats, put a brick on top. So once you put a brick on top, they can't get to it. And what happens is that you bury this into your pot or your garden bed, and you can have as many of these as you want in your garden beds, and you bury them up to here, and then you just keep feeding them scraps, and the worms will come out the bottom, and then they will go into your garden beds, and they will disperse the nutrient. But in the end, you're going to end up with some beautiful worm castings in here, which you can use for your seed raising mix. So there you go. And if you want worms, don't go to Bunnings and buy them. Get to know your local networks, ask around, see if you've got any community gardens near you. Go and ask them for some worms. You'll need the red wrigglers because they are the particular ones that you use. They're the ones that you sell at Bunnings. They are different to earthworms. So earthworms are brown and they go down deep. The red wrigglers stay on the top levels, and they're the ones that you have in your worm farms. So yeah, you can get those from any local community garden. You can get them from me if you're local to me. And yeah, just come along and grab some and make your own vermicomposting that will have nutrients for your plants, give soil conditioner to your mix, and you will be composting your own waste. So yeah, we have solutions for everyone. So yeah, that's the other element, is the worm castings. The other thing also is a little bit of manure. Now, you can use aged chicken manure, which is fine. And again, check with your community gardens, check with any local permaculturists. We have people who have chickens across the road. I'm sure in the eastern suburbs in Randwick, there's a bunch of people who have chickens. We have them at Randwick Community Organic Garden. In the mountains, I'm sure you guys have plenty of people who have chickens. I actually use a lot more people have rabbits and guinea pigs in my area. So I've actually got a really good source of rabbit and guinea pig manure, which I compost down. I just pop it in my worm farm and I just let it sit for a few months. Now, the important thing about that is that they're not wormed. So you don't really want to mix anything that's been wormed with worms in a vermicomposting system. So again, my focus is on local ingredients if possible. You can again go out and get pelletized manures at Bunnings if you want to. If it's all too hard, that's fine, but my emphasis is on local. Oh, how many worms can you put in a pot? Sorry, Ria, I just saw your question. I'll just put a handful. It doesn't really matter because you can, they will, in the summertime, they will be pregnant every 7 days. I think they can be pregnant. So and you can tell because they get this little section in the middle of them. And yeah, so we've got quite a few pregnant worms at the moment. It's warming up, they're starting to get more active, they're starting to breed. So in the wintertime, it's a bit quieter, things die off, they don't work as fast on things. But in the summertime, things can really ramp up, and you might actually find that depending on how much you feed them, there's so much going on that you might need to create another worm tower in another pot somewhere. So you just, again, it's observation, just watch them, see how they're going, see if you're feeding them too much, too little. It's just really observation. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to the next thing. Okay, so I'll just give you the recipe. Now this is going to be available afterwards. I'll give you my email my website is jessicaperini.com. And I'm going to put all the notes up on my blog. So afterwards, if you want to know all the links to everything, the recipes, everything will be on my blog. So just go on there. But it'll be 2 parts compost to 1 part worm casings to 2 parts coir, 1 part sand, and a little bit of aged manure. So the part is completely up to you. So if you want to use a jar to measure 1 part, that's fine. You just make as much or as little as you want, or you could use an entire bucket to say that's my 1 part. It's up to you. It depends on what ingredients you have available and how many ingredients you have available. At the moment, we've just heard word that Bunnings is closed. Only open to pickups. So if you're going to go get stuff, there might not be a lot available at the moment. So just make whatever. Even if you just make a small amount, you can use a jar to make your parts. You mix them all together, and what you really want, once you mix them together, last time I did this, I used my hands and then I couldn't touch the computer. It was really hard adapting to life in lockdown. Zooming, teaching this it's tricky. So what you want is this beautiful little patty here that you create. You don't want to see any of the ingredients individualized. You want to see everything really nicely mixed together. And you want it, if I were to pick this up now, it would be like a meat patty. It would actually hold together. Like, if your meat patty is not going to, sorry if there's any vegans or vegetarians out there, if it's not going to cook properly, if it falls apart, you don't want that. Same with your seed raising mix. You want, if I were to hold this now, it would hold together in a really nice chunk. If it didn't, it's not wet enough and you need to add more wet ingredients. So that would be things like your vermicompost, which is really nice and silky wet. Your vermicompost is almost like the egg, the binder in a cake. So it really holds things together really nicely. And that is just really nice, and it's holding together. If you're finding that if it's too dry, you might have too much sand in it. You can add more coir if you need more coir to make it hold more water. So again, observation is key. The main thing is that you can't see any of the individual ingredients. You mix it really, really, really well. So that's your nice mix once you've got everything together. Now for the exciting part, which is a couple of years ago on my birthday, I get to buy myself my birthday presents because I know what I like, and I like weird things. this is where the Gundaroo Olsen Farm people come in. This is called a soil blocker. So I don't know if any of you have seen one of these biddies, which is really exciting. It's just called a soil blocker, and what it does is it makes little individual pots of seed raising mix into actual pots. So I'm not explaining this very well, but what it does is you're able to put your soil mix into a container. So you take your mix, put it into a container like this, and then you put your blocker on top of it. When you put your blocker on top of it, this is very hard to demonstrate on Zoom. You do this, and then you push down, and what you're left with is beautiful pots. So these are just the soil in themselves. The beauty of this system is that you don't need pots. So what happens when you put stuff into things like this is that you can have transplant shock. If you just have them as little individual soil blocks, which is what this soil blocker creates, this will actually, the roots will grow into this, and you don't have transplant shock because you can pop these directly into your pot once they've grown. So there's no transplant shock with these things. There's also no external materials, so you don't have to buy pots. You don't have to make them. I mean, it's up to you. You can make little pots out of, there's plenty of stuff on the internet about making, you can make pots out of newspaper. You can make pots out of egg cartons. You can use old pots. You can use old plastic containers, old sushi containers. You can pretty much use anything. But yeah, that's just kind of special. I like that because it just works so well, and I like to do lots and lots and lots of seed raising. So if you really, really get into it one day, that's a nice present to buy yourself. And it lasts. It's lasted and lasted, and it doesn't rust as long as you keep it clean. It's really good. So yeah, what you end up with in the end is a whole bunch of beautiful little self-contained pots, just soil blocks basically, which you can plant into. Now, what you have to be aware of when you're planting into these things is that different seeds need different planting depths. So if you have, say, a pumpkin seed, which is, pretty big, you want to plant it double the depth of that actual seed. So say it's 5 mils, you can plant it at 10 mils below the surface. So you want to do it at double the depth. Whereas if you have something, for example, like a lettuce seed, that is tiny. They're tiny, tiny grains of lettuce seeds. So you actually put those just on the top, you sprinkle them on the top, and then you wouldn't even, you just put a tiny amount of soil over the top of it. You not hardly anything, or some people don't even put soil on the top. You might put something along the lines of a little bit of perlite or vermiculite. I'm just going to explain perlite and vermiculite very quickly because I don't want to focus too much on external things that you have to buy, but they do come up in seed raising mixes. So I just wanted to cover them real quick. Just 1 second, I'm going to grab them. Now perlite highlight is this. It is volcanic glass. It's pumice-like. It's extremely light, and it's porous. So it's actually really good at preventing compaction in your mix. I don't actually use it. In this mix, I don't use it, but I just wanted to explain it to you because if you're using very small seeds, you might want to put a little bit, just sprinkle a little bit on the top, just to prevent water from evaporating from the top of your seeds. And it's so light that it won't compact any of your seeds, even if they're really, really tiny. It dries out fairly rapidly. It's really good for succulents. So if you love to grow succulents, this is a really good one for them. It is rich in silicon. Now, vermiculite is quite different. It's mined. They're both mined, but one is volcanic and one is mined from the ground. Sorry, I can't. Vermiculite is a darker brown material. It's made of aluminium, iron, magnesium silicate. It is spongy dark brown or golden brown, and it comes in more like flakes. It is good for plants that like a lot of water. So if you want to do something that it really, really loves to be waterlogged, you can use vermiculite. Just be very careful of the sources of your vermiculite because there can be issues depending on where it's mined. That's why I don't buy it. I only ever get things when people give them to me because people are constantly giving me things. So, this is what happens when you're a permaculturist and people, swap things around and you get into these networks. People are constantly saying, hey, I've got a 60-kilo bag of perlite, which is how I managed to get this. Do you want it? Okay, sure. Don't generally use it, but okay. So don't ever go out buying things. Just look first because there are constantly people giving away things that are out there. The other thing I should mention with vermiculite is that it raises pH. So just be careful of anything that might not like a raised pH. It can cause root rot if you don't use it with succulents. So I should quickly move onwards. We're already 1:15. If you're wondering about what to plant now, there's a fantastic website called Gardenate. It's Garden ATE, Gardenate, and I'm talking about veggie growing at the moment because that's my thing. So at the moment we're just on the verge of spring. It's a very, very exciting time. So what you have to figure out at this stage is, do I sow things directly into the soil or do I sow things into punnets, keep them indoors for a little bit longer and then pull them out shortly in the next few weeks, because we're still getting a few cooler days. Not a lot of germination depends on soil temperature actually getting to the right temperature, which is why you won't see everything that we grow in spring just yet being recommended to be put straight into the garden. So Gardenate actually tells you what to sow direct, so what to sow directly into your garden or into your soil, and what to sow into punnets and wait for. So what you can do is you can do things on your kitchen sill. You can do things inside. I know someone who does veggies like all year round, purely inside their house, inside their unit. She's in Mascot and she does tomatoes, she does cucumbers, she does capsicum, she does everything, but she has north facing light. So she has really good light access, and that's the main thing is to have really good light access. So at the moment, you can do a whole bunch of things, but some of them need to be in punnets and some of the things can go directly out. So for example, you can sow carrot seeds right now. You can sow chili and tomatoes, and you can also sow just looking at the collard greens, capsicum. If you want to start things like that, it's still sort of plain. Just wait till the plate goes. Generally, anything that's fruiting, you might want to wait a few more weeks to do that, or you can start them inside the house on the windowsill, or if you have a little greenhouse, you can start them now. So if your chilies, your capsicums, anything along those lines, so just do them in the greenhouse first. There are other things that you can actually plant now, like beans, are actually perfect to plant now. You can do crowns of asparagus right now. So if anyone's really into asparagus, it's a very good time to do it. Amaranth you can do now. Artichokes you can do now. What else have we got? Chinese, all the Chinese cabbages you can do now. Radishes are always, whenever you want to do, you can do them straight in the garden, which is great. And they will come up within about 4 days. So it's a really exciting thing to do if you actually want to trial something, just to see if you're just getting started. Try radishes first, because you get immediate results. You can start sowing your pumpkin seeds right now. Your things like okra I would do in your greenhouse to start with. And I have some beautiful okra seeds if anyone would like burgundy. I have beautiful red okra. Things like loofah, a little bit early still. So in your greenhouse at this point, lettuces in seed trays. I find with smaller things like lettuce that they dry out very, very quickly. So you want to have them somewhere where you're close to. So if you're in a kitchen, you're cooking and stuff, you won't forget them near you. So keep things that are tiny, tiny seeds like lettuces close by. You just don't want to let them dry out, because if you let them dry out, that's it, it's over. Also things like if you want to do microgreens, things like mustard and little cabbage seedlings, keep them close by. So keep them close to your kitchen where you can always keep an eye on them. And then when they get this big, you can harvest them down and have them in your salad. Fantastic. And you won't get any mixes like that in the supermarket. They're really great. So eggplant. So as I say, anything sort of that's fruiting, think about starting it in your greenhouse right now. Anything that's sort of things like beetroot, things like that are fine. Beans, beetroot are fine actually in the garden. Carrots, things like that. Tomatoes, keep in your greenhouse for a little while. Sweet potato can go in now, and I have lots of slips of sweet potato if anyone would like any. I have the beautiful purple red variety, which is Japanese apparently. It's absolutely delicious. Once you've got your seedlings coming up, now they have all the nutrient they need to create their first set of leaves. So they don't need any nutrients up until that point. So your first set of leaves, they come out, they have everything they need at that point. Once they start to produce a second set of leaves, you might notice that they look a bit yellow or they start looking a bit leggy, at that point you might want to give them a bit of a seed, like an organics mix feed or worm wee, which actually you'll need a worm farm for that. So these ones that I showed you won't produce the worm wee in a way that you can use it. It will go straight into your plants. But again, your community gardens are a good source. The other great source of worm wee, if you need it, is a group called Grow It Local. Now, Grow It Local is where all the local gardeners they actually register their gardens. So you can find out that Bruce across the road from you has got a worm tower and he's got heaps and heaps of worm wee. So you can actually ask him for it and make use of it, because usually once people have some, they have way too much, more than they can use. So Grow It Local is a great resource to get on once you've got a garden going. Even a balcony garden is useful, and then you can start seeing what people are giving away. So yeah, use a diluted worm wee or organics or a bit of seaweed you can make your own, but that's another webinar. And just if they're starting to look a little bit yellow or looking a bit sad, just give them a bit of a feed after the first leaf stage. If they're starting to look a bit leggy, what you start doing after a few weeks, they're going to need some sunlight. So start gradually bringing them out into the sunlight, but do not go from greenhouse to immediately to outdoors for 12 hours, because that's going to kill your seedlings. So just do it gradually. And given most of us are at home at the moment, that won't be a problem. So it might be just a couple of hours a day, bring them back in, a few more hours. Again, observation is key. See what they need, see what the key needs are, and bring them out into the light. If they're looking a bit leggy, like they're kind of falling over, again, bring them out, bring them in, and until they strengthen up. And then when they've developed more sets of leaves, then you might think about putting them up into something bigger or bringing them out into your garden. So yeah, that is pretty much, so that is pretty much seed raising. Now, I just wanted to do we've got like 5 minutes, wanted to talk about cuttings, propagation from cuttings. So we don't have a huge amount of time, but it's so simple. It doesn't take any time at all. So let me just grab my stuff. A lot of herbs, a lot of plants, a lot of salvias, a lot of flowers, natives, even things like tomatoes can be propagated from cuttings. And it's just amazing when you start learning what can be propagated from cuttings. You'll just be absolutely awed by the amount of plants that you can get for free. So these are brachycombs, daisies, let's call them daisies. And these are just the easiest things, and they're absolutely gorgeous. These can be propagated from cuttings. So many things: tomatoes, basil. Here you have basil. Chem would be familiar with this. I think you probably got some from me. Salvias. So you've got your sages. Love sage. It's fantastic in terms of cuttings. Now the flowering salvias as well. Anyway, ton of stuff. I've even done woolly bushes, so even natives. So a whole bunch of things you should just try. Once you learn the method, just try it on a whole bunch of things and see how you go. I'll show you the absolute easiest one you can do, which is, this is an African basil. It's called African blue, even though it's purple. It is, the bees absolutely die for this. They absolutely love it. It flowers year round, and I have constant bees, and they bring in all the pollinators, which are absolutely fantastic. All you want to do is just cut it just below the node there. So there's always a node. You just cut it cleanly there, and then you're going to cut all of your leaves off. So you want to cut and not pull them off, because if you pull them off, you can end up just with huge strips of stem and you damage the plant. So really just get a nice clean pair of scissors that you can cut cleanly. And what you want to do is get a strip of about 5 centimeters. Now you want to cut off any flowers, so don't leave any flower heads because they'll take all the nutrient, and take off any leaves that are along the stem. Okay, take off most of the leaves. So you might just leave perhaps 2 up the top. Now, a lot of it looks pretty sad, but it's very effective. Now, once you've removed most of the leaves, that's ready to go. Now, most people will tell you to go out and buy a rooting hormone. I don't, because, you know, I'm kind of wacky. Rooting hormone will help with your rooting. It's just a small thing you can buy from Bunnings or the nurseries, and it will help the roots develop. I don't bother. I just try to do things with as much as I can in my local space, whatever I have. One alternative, sorry, plane again. I live right on plane. One of the things you can use is honey. So this is local honey from a local beekeeper. We actually do have quite a lot of beekeepers in our area. If you're in the inner west, there's tons of beekeepers. There's roseberry honey. If you're in the local area, roseberry honey is very good. This is Randwick honey. So yeah, just have a look out for your local beekeepers. Fantastic. We don't do lots of processing. A lot of honey in the shops have been found to be 50% adulterated with things like rice syrup. So lots of honeys that you buy from the shops are actually not honey, a bit of a ripoff. So do find your local beekeepers. This little bit of honey, you can dip in these in, a little bit of honey. Honey and water produces a mild bleach, so it's not a rooting hormone per se. It is more of it stops any sort of bacterial infections happening to the base when there's a cut. I'm not too fussed about it, to be honest. I just get my cutting, I grab some water. So grab some water, chuck it in. Within 2 weeks in springtime, you will have a mass of roots. These are particularly good. Salvias are great, tomatoes are great. You can produce whole new plants. I do most of mine in water. Not everything likes to be in water. Obviously, things like succulents don't like to be in water, I don't think. Usually with the succulents, you just do the exact same thing, but you just pop it straight in the soil. And with your cuttings, because they don't have roots, they're not happy to dry out. So don't let them dry out. Just make sure that you keep a good misting of water up to them. Don't let the soil dry out completely. Pop your finger in just to see how moist it is. If it's too dry, they'll die. So within like 4 to 6 weeks in soil, like you'll have a good lot of cutting, a good lot of rooting. In water, it can be as short as 2 weeks. And these plants can grow massive. So out of one tiny little thing, we'll have awesome cuttings, and you can do that with quite a lot of different things. So yeah, there are different ways to do cuttings as well. You can actually, some cuttings you do by division. So this is a society garlic. It doesn't grow a bulb, it's just from leaf and flower. Now they can be grown, I basically just grow them in pots in my garden, and I put them everywhere. And then once a year I pull them out, and they're massive, and you just basically put a shovel through them. And once I put a shovel through them, I separate them out into 10 different little pots. Then I plant them out in my garden again, and then I pull them up once a year, put a shovel through them, separate them out, put them in little pots, give them to all my friends. And so you don't have to go out and buy garlic. You can use the leaves of these, and you can use the flowers as well. And they're absolutely fantastic and really strong garlic taste. So, like if you're going to be around lots of people, yeah, not a problem right now. But fantastic for garlic. So there are different types of cuttings you can do. You can do by division, you can do by cuttings by stem, you can do root division as well, which is going to be another time. But those are pretty much the basics. So Ria just made a comment in the chat pod. Let me have a look. Ria, I did a trick recently. Put a handful of compost into water, dip the cuttings in it, which are a bunch of geranium cuttings. Yeah, geraniums, very good, which are rather sad. Most of them resurrected back to life. Yeah, geranium's a fantastic one. You can just take the cutting. If they're looking sad, pop them in water, let them resurrect. Once they've resurrected, pop them in a bit of soil and they will root. You can do that for so many things. Even bought flowers, even bought herbs from the shops. If you don't want to go to the nursery, if you don't have neighbours who are growing these herbs, you can just keep a short segment of the herb in some water, see if it develops roots. You can do it with celery bottoms, you can do it with carrot tops, you can do it with lettuce bottoms, just in a little bit of water, or you can put them straight into soil and they will grow roots. So you just use what you have available at the moment. I know it's locked down, I know it's really hard to get to places, but whatever you have in the space you have, use that. So yeah, I'm just going to open up because it's 37 past. So I'm just, everybody, if you want to unmute yourselves and just see if anyone would like to ask any questions or any comments or anything I didn't cover. Yeah, does anyone have any questions or comments, or is that easier or harder, or what do you think? What are you going to go out and do now?
Thanks a lot, Jessica. That was fantastic. It was a good refresher. But I'm definitely going to do my seeds in lockdown. It's
a great time.
Lockdown, yeah.
Great time. I've actually got a list of the best local sources of seed, and I've also got a list of the best seed suppliers. So I'm going to pop them up on my website if you would like those. There is a Seed Savers Network, Grow It Local. there's Inner West Seed Savers. So just check your local sources first. Alfalfa House, if you know, in Newtown, has $1 seeds from the local Inner West Seed Savers. So check your local sources, because it can be a little bit hard. It has been hard getting seeds lately because everyone's gone a bit crazy. Yeah, so wherever you can source it, yeah, locally, do try. Yeah. Anyone else? Annette, what are you going to do now?
I'm going to do all the things. I've got all the seeds, so I've saved them, but not in a very clever way. So I'll just try my luck with the ones that I've saved, and might do some cuttings. I like the idea of that.
So easy, and it's this real shortcut. You don't have to wait months and months. They just
I've grown a forest of devil's ivy in that same way. So we can do it with edible things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. That was really wonderful, especially the trick about the worms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got the problem up here is soil compaction. So I've got a couple of herb beds going, and like one of them was came with the place that I moved into last year. I used to be in the southwest, and then I moved up here, and it was so hard. And yeah, I'm going to use that. Yeah, I'm going to use the terracotta pot trick.
Yeah, go for it. And you can even if you want to make a bigger one, you can get two that are exactly the same size, and you can glue them together, so you can make an even bigger one if you want to. So
oh wow,
go nuts.
do you have to cover them up with like the top layer, just so that the worms don't get eaten by birds and stuff? Like, do you have to cover them?
Yeah, make sure you pop a lid on. So pop the lid on. So just get a plate that would normally sit underneath it, put the lid on it. So yeah, nothing can get to it. And then I put a brick on top. If you have any rats like we have in Sydney, because the rats would want to get into them. If you pop a brick on, it's too heavy for the rats to move. So, and you bury it. So the worms come out here. So they're in the soil. Okay.
Okay.
So the soil is up to there, and you just remove the top to put the food in, put the brick on top, and the worms come out the bottom. So easy. And most of us have got terracotta pots lying around we can use. So yeah.
I love that idea too, Jess. But I'd be doing mine on a balcony because I don't have a garden. So would I put the terracotta pot into a bigger pot? Like,
yeah. So yeah, just if you've got a bigger pot with plants growing in it, nest them in, so you can they can nourish whatever it is you're growing in that area. So yeah, it's good to plan in spring, because that way you can get it all going before you've got something established with roots. So if you've already got something established, you don't want to disturb, like a pomegranate or a lemon or a lime or something like that. They really don't like having their roots disturbed. So don't do it to something that's already established. Maybe establish a new pot with new plantings and the worm tower in it as well. Yeah. So here, is there anything you want to move forward with now?
Oh, hi, Jessica. Yeah, look, I live in an apartment and I've got a challenge of just a west-facing balcony. So I need to think about it a bit more deeply, what I can grow exactly and what's going to thrive.
Yeah.
And being locked down, it's going to be hard getting stuff that you need, because you really don't want to go out to buttons or anything like that.
No, you don't.
Not the kind of climate, so that's going to be a challenge.
We had a clean out in the local streets lately, and I just sort of carefully went out with gloves and got a couple of things, and then sprayed them all down, and anyway, you got to be careful about it. But yeah, you can use windows, you can use old outdoors. You can use all sorts of things to make greenhouses. You can even just get something going and put a bit of plastic over the top of it. That's a greenhouse. Anything is a greenhouse. So just look around your house, see what you got and see what you can use. Even a glass jar, if you've got a great big vase that you can put over the top, like a greenhouse type thing, you can make it out of anything. So just, you know,
Be resourceful.
Yeah, be resourceful. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
That's okay. Is there something you might do?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very intrigued by the worm farm, as you can imagine. So I was just thinking, you know, if I have a garden bed and I want to plant some veggies and all that, how long do the worms live in that particular garden bed? You know, like
they'll cycle forever. Yeah.
All right. So once they're in there, they'll always be
in there.
in,
Yeah. So just keep feeding them your scraps, and in winter they'll die down. They won't do too much. There won't be many. You won't see many of them. But in summer, you know, as long as you keep feeding them, they will keep cycling through the garden. They'll get pregnant. They'll generations and generations of them, as long as the conditions are right. You know, it doesn't dry out too much, or you don't have a super hot day. And sometimes people have worm farms that are black and they have a super hot day and all worms die. So if you've got an external worm farm, you have to take care of them. When they're in the soil in your actual bed, it's not such an issue because they can escape to cooler parts.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was great. I enjoyed it. Lots of new information.
Thank you for coming. Yeah. So if anyone wants any seeds or anything, get in contact. And as I say, I will give me to the end of today. And then check on my website and I will put up all the resources. Yeah, so thank you so much for coming, and thank you for donating to my fundraiser. We've raised enough money to get Adi all his stuff, and yay! Now,
congratulations!
Thank you. It's very exciting.
Good presentation, Jess. Not just the content, but also the way you present. Very relaxed, very natural. I'm sure everyone enjoys it.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Rati. Rati provided the Zoom and all the background help. So thank you so much for doing that too.
Thanks a lot, Jess.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Stay safe. Take care.
Congratulations.
Well done.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks. Bye.
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 That was good.
Yes, well done.
Thank you. Thanks for helping me set it all up and everything.
Oh, I'm sorry your screen share didn't work. I don't know.
It's a permission issue. I couldn't.
Oh, let me stop the recording.
Yeah.